All right, welcome out to the show. Welcome out to the deal room, where all your questions about Vancouver and area real estate, including all of BC, get answered. Today on the show, I have Devin from Axford Real Estate here to share some insights as we go back and forth a little bit about what's going on in the market and how it affects you directly. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to comment below or click one of our links below in this video. All right, so Devin, what's going on in today's market, and what did you want to bring up on the show today?
Yeah, James, thanks for having me. It's been a crazy market at the start of 2026 here. I mean, we got war in the Middle East. We got, interest rates not really coming down. We have a whole bunch of things. And I think right now, the biggest thing, if I could wrap it all, is uncertainty. The prices have been coming down. So you think that there's going to be more sales with buyers, but that's just not what's happening. Really, right now, a lot of people are very, very uncertain on where things are going. And when there's this much uncertainty in the market, you really don't see that in sales or anything happening. People are cutting costs right now, whether it's the gasoline making it more expensive or grocery prices. The last thing I feel right now is people are focused on is upsizing or downsizing. There's just so many factors that come into real estate, and it's depending where you are in your life. What we see right now is just so much uncertainty in this market that it's really hard for people to kind of plan for that future. So if I could wrap it all up, I'd say uncertainty here at the start of 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen that on my end too as I talk with people. We have a record year of renewals, as you know, way back from 2020, but also in about 2023, we had a ton of people who took uh, 3-year mortgages, and now they're also due. So we have a tidal wave of these renewals, and it's putting a lot of pressure on people on top of the inflation, on top of the uncertainty and the global unrest. So yeah, but there's still, I still see a lot of people um, with a lot of high demand needs. Like they are demanding and they're getting into the market and they're finding some pretty amazing deals. In just the other day, I talked to one realtor um, on a deal that he put together a few years ago, where I think the price was something like 750. The new buyer in line is picking up for $100,000 less. So there's some pretty interesting opportunities in the market at the same time.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, deep discounts. To further that, I've seen a property that was listed for 1.3 million back in 2023. That's the tail end of 2023, and I see that same property in the Tri Cities listed just over $1 million. So it goes to show you that there is some deep discounts if you're willing to take on, a little bit more risk and uncertainty of where things are at this present time. You can really find some deals out there. But I got a question for you, James. What has been like the most common asked questions to you in the last 6 to 12 months? Like, what are people asking you when they reach out for a pre-approval, or the general questions that come up for you about mortgage rates?
The number one question I get is, what is your best rate?
Of
Like
course.
right off the top. And you know what? It's always an interesting question that I can't just, like, I used to be able to just give a certain range, but every time I get that question, I'm turning over to my live rate sheets and I'm looking at how things have changed so quickly. Just in the last 3 weeks, for example, we've had 80 to 90 basis points jumping on some of the lenders out there. And this is without the formal effect of inflation hitting us through the Bank of Canada's perception of how things are going, because that's not for another month or two, that next announcement. But that is the number one concern. It is the rate. And so when I hear that question, I hear the pain as well. I hear the frustration. I hear the worrisomeness in that question that, hey, am I going to get a pre-approval for my investment property, or am I even going to get renewed? Or am I going to be canceled on by the lenders? Because you hear so much news about lenders tightening up their policies, and people get really worried about it. And so, in response to that, I would have a very calm response to that, which is simply, there are ways to beat this. And anyone listening today who's feeling exactly like that, I would invite them to, obviously visit my website. We'll sit down for a consultation on how we can actually beat that, how to beat the banks at their own interest rate games um, that they may be playing to some extent while these rates keep going up and pressuring people. There is a way out of that, and there is actually a way to even cut your mortgage in half. But I won't get into that today. But that's what I'm trying to do to, soothe these concerns that are out there, and they're legitimate concerns. That there's a lot of stress. I mean, even 300 or 400 bucks a month in payment shock from 2020 to say whatever you're doing in terms of a renewal today, it's a shock, even if it's just a few $100. Because if you're working full time, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and the money's coming in, it still kind of ends up shorthanded if your wages haven't increased align, and be aligned with whatever inflation's doing. So.
You know what? I can further to that point because I can definitely see that happening even on the real estate prices side. A buyer that I had, like pre-approved for say just a year and a half ago, and they were, comfortable paying a mortgage of around $500,000. Today, that same buyer, he's sending me a quick text saying, "Hey, Devin, I appreciate all those properties you've been sending me, and I really do appreciate, I do look at all those properties. But is there any chance you could slim or cut my criteria from 500,000 to 450 or 425? Those payments that we were looking at a couple of years ago, it just doesn't really fit my lifestyle right now. This and that is big, kind of pulling on my expense bag. So I can definitely further to that. That's probably the biggest question I get for like current clients is if we had, a $500,000, $600,000 ranges, it's pulling those prices down. And the good news, like we said, in this market, that prices have been coming down. So it kind of is going hand in hand and getting a little bit lucky on that end. But yes, it's definitely very tight on people's wallets at this time.
And and are you able to bring to the table an offer that's say 30, 40, or $50,000 less than normal? And are people able to, get that offer accepted at this point in time of the market and what it's doing?
It obviously is case by case, but recently, yes, a couple of years ago, or especially back in 2020, 2021, if you had a property listed at 700,000 and you were offering, 625, 650, that's what we call lowball offers. And, you get a bad reputation in that. But to be honest, asking 50, 60, $70,000 is almost common right now. And, it's not even listings that have been on the market 30, 60, 90 days. We've written offers where it's been on the market 3, 4, 5 days. They haven't even done their open house, and we're listing way below asking price. And you know what the seller's doing? They're not telling you to screw off. They're not telling you this. They're playing with you. They may not accept that offer, but you know what? They'll definitely keep it in mind and probably negotiate back with you. So I would say there's a lot of room right now to get those deals, and you don't have to wait 90, 100, 200 days for this property to sit because the seller is going to know instantly. First week of showings, if you have an open house and you have, the neighbor coming through and maybe one person, you're not going to get offers that way. So sellers are finding out real quickly that prices are not back in 2021, 2022, or even 2023. They're actually now chasing the market down. And as a realtor, you have to explain to your seller clients and buyer clients what's currently happening.
Yeah, yeah. There's been a mighty shift since those days of 2020, 21, even a little bit in 2022, the first few months there. I can't agree with you more. I'm able to sort of see with some of the clients that I'm working with that they are on tight budgets, like you say, and they do want that discount. And I always give them a maximum pre-approval amount, but I also say to them, look, you need to find a really good realtor to help you out to fight against the heavy rates. That in one respect that can help huge. If you could get 30, 40, $50,000 off, or even up to $70,000 off on a property, that's 70,000 that you never have to pay, and you walk into the house and you get the house, you get the $70,000 savings. And if you've been smart the last few years and you've opened up a first home savings account, you also have tax-free money coming in from there, um, including the money that the extra money that you earned in that account through interest through your investments. So that just adds to the fact that there's savings out there, and then there's ways to, finding the right realtor. I think is absolutely top paramount priority for my clients. And we're working with a few clients together already right now, and I can definitely say Devin knows his stuff. And Devin, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? Just I want to put a little shameless plug in here for you because
Appreciate it.
I really enjoy working with Devin. And yeah, how do they get a hold of you? What's the best way?
You know what? The best way for me is a phone call. Chatting in person or on the phone is the best. My number is 604-809-1032. If you're busy and you just want to shoot me an email, my email is Devin, Devin, at axfordrealestate.ca as well.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, we'll make sure we'll put that in the show notes below the video, as well as a link to your website. And of course, whether you guys have questions, mortgage side or real estate side, feel free to shoot us a text message, an email, a phone call, whatever, and we'll put time aside to deal with the market and what it's doing in your situation and align up the right strategy, 100%. So
Perfect.
awesome. All right. Well, are any last thoughts that you want to mention before we end our call today?
Well, if you have any questions on the real estate market, James is the guy on the mortgage side. He's been doing is absolutely amazing. He can help you with alternative lending if you're in a certain case situation. But just give him a call or go to his website. You can kind of figure out if you want to know where current rates are or where you kind of stand. He's got a great application that kind of gives you an idea of roughly what you can afford. And obviously, like I said before, just jumping on a phone call probably answers 90% of your questions. So please don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us for anything. I'm happy to help no matter what the cause is.
All right. Thanks, Devin. It's great having you on the show.
Perfect. Thank you, James.
And this has been another wrap of the Deal Room. If you have a specific question that you want us to address as a real estate agent and broker, get it in there into the comments. We'll review that. We'll most likely take your comment and put it in the show. That's what we do here. This is your insight into the market. This is your edge, so to speak, before you get things rolling in terms of strategy, in terms of moving forward, in terms of hitting your financial goals in real estate. All right, we'll end the show for today, and thank you for joining the Deal Room.
Thank you.